what should you do if something terrible happens with your live project? Typical example is dropped production database or live server is unresponsive and totally not live. So project basically is down. What to do? I recently had a few conversations with my own team and with a few fellow developers, and I have a few thoughts about that, so I decided to shoot this video. So in case of something tragic happens, you have two problems to solve. First is technical issue, and second is communication issue with your customer. So ideally you should have two people on this problem. One would be a developer or DevOps or whoever who would solve technical issue, and the other one would be customer support person or founder himself or CEO or whoever who would take care of communication, like information on the website, on Twitter, replying emails, phone calls, whatever. So ideally it's two people, because if you try to be one guy solving both, it's pretty impossible to have everything in one brain and also handle the panic mode. So my tip number one is have two people on the team, and if you are one person on your team, then solve technical issue first. So it doesn't matter if you answer 10 emails of panicking customers if the problem is still alive. So first fix the issue, and then you would be able to communicate. But ideally you could put just a label on your website like alert that something is happening, some accident, and we will reply later, something like that. Next thing, in terms of technical point of view, so if something is totally down, you have two issues. First is a system problem, and then it's a database problem. So first I would, which to tackle, to restore the data, for example, or to make the system functional? It depends usually, but I would vote for making the system responsible again and alive again, so new users that would come to the website wouldn't even notice the problem. So the system would be up and running, and then would take care of restoring missing data or restoring something for the customers. But to do that, first, before anything happens, you have to take care of the prevention. And usually people think about prevention only if something tragic happens, actually. So here's my tip for you: think about simple things. It's not much to invest time or money. Just invest in database backups. It's pretty simple to use with Laravel. For example, I've shot a video about Laravel Spati backup package, which is like 5 minutes to set up, and also another 5 minutes to purchase space on Amazon S3 or something like that. So take care of that and put in daily backups of the database and the customer files. So if something tragic happens, at least you would have backup. It's your choice to have it daily or weekly. No, what, weekly is bad. Daily at least, or hourly or something like that. So take care of the prevention before stuff happens. And also make sure that if a website is down, so you would have ability to put up some static HTML website. If the server is totally down, then you would have another server to put up, like load balancing stuff, whatever. Some things of those cost money, but usually it's more about taking care of that, like spending a day or so to prevent. And then like if you grow to substantial amount of users, you will be totally sucked into routine of creating more features, and you will totally forget about it. So in order not to forget, prevent that beforehand, and it doesn't take much time or cost much money up front. And final thing I wanted to leave you with is don't start the blame game and don't start the panic game. So if something goes wrong, don't think about who's at fault, or if it's your fault, don't start thinking, wow, I screwed up, this is my fault, or someone else's fault. Usually, to be honest, it's the fault of the system and the processes of that company. So in our case, when we had that accident of like dropping some part of production database, it was technically fault of one of the developers, but realistically it was my fault to not set up the processes for that particular project to prevent that. So I could do stuff like restricting the database user to only select only database user. That's the number one. Then database backups daily or hourly. Then even not allowing someone to get to the database, or there are a lot of processes, including hiring wrong people maybe, but eventually it's process's fault, not the developer's fault. I scheduled a tweet which will come out next week that it's really rarely a developer's fault if something goes wrong. It's usually fault of business processes. That developer is not educated enough, or they didn't have enough time to perform the task, so they rushed without testing and something bad happens. So it's usually about the process. So if you are in a position of business owner or CTO or founder, and about making decisions, make sure that you take care of the processes, that those screw ups wouldn't happen. So it's not about developer's fault or person's fault, it's process's fault. And if something bad happens, think about what can you do to prevent that later in the future. That's it. Quick video with quick tips about what to do when something really bad happens. I hope it's helpful. Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to the channel. See you guys.